Hey, what's up, guys? Tyler here. Today is May 3rd, and this is the first installment of what I'm calling Off-Brand Twitch. Um, Obviously, I don't have a Twitch yet. Still trying to, kind of figure out, what it truly is and all that sort of thing. What I figured on my YouTube channel, I thought I'd try, kind of my own concept of what Twitch is. So I get the basic concept that a lot of people do on Twitch, and that's play video games. Um, so what I'm gonna do is I've got NBA 2K15 on the Xbox playing right now. One of the older versions of the NBA 2K franchise that I have currently. And while I'm at it, we'll be listening to music, and I'll talk about different things. Just it kind of varies from video to video. Plan on doing off-brand Twitch every Monday this month, so stay tuned for that every Monday. And since these videos are probably going to be close to an hour, I'll have them go live at 4 p.m. Every single Monday. But on the 31st, I might go live for Memorial Day. Haven't decided yet, but we'll see where that goes. So I guess without further ado, I'm going to start playing some NBA 2K. Currently what I'm doing right now is I'm in the middle of a franchise mode with a custom team called the Kansas City Bobcats. Because there used to be, I don't know if it's still around, a company in Kansas City called KC Bobcat for construction, equipment, things of that sort. That's kind of where that came from. I'm going to go ahead and get the game going. So a little bit more backstory before I get started. I'm in the NBA Finals, going against the Cavaliers. And the Cavaliers currently have a 3-1 series lead in the NBA Finals against my team. I let the first four games kind of play out as they would, just on a simulation. But this is the part where I take over. Anyway, let's get started. One thing I will start off saying, I've shared this before, but I don't know who all of my fans knows. When I first started watching the NBA, I was in 5th grade, and my favorite player that I gravitated towards was Steve Nash. At that time, he was a point guard for the Phoenix Suns. And that's when they ran those teams that never went deep into the shot clock. It was almost against team rules to go deep in the shot clock. It was what they call 8 seconds or less offense. That's when they had Sean Marion and Mario Stoudemire as well, coached by Mike D'Antoni. And I think he's better than what he gets credit for, at least during the regular season. Like, everyone admits he's more of a regular season coach. Couldn't quite get it done in the playoffs. So, yeah, unfortunately, I have to um, agree with that. But yeah, my first favorite player in the NBA was actually not LeBron James. Because a lot of people in my age group, that was probably their first favorite player. All right, on the board with the three. But not me. It was actually Steve Nash, and now that he's the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, I'm definitely rooting for him to have success with that team, and hopefully maybe win a title, because he never won an NBA title as a player, and I thought he was just amongst the class of players that were just too good to not have an NBA title, you know. And I know you can make arguments about a lot of players that are that way, so successful in their careers, but never won, a title. And for me, yeah, Steve Nash is definitely in that category. I'm definitely glad he's a basketball Hall of Famer. Which, yeah, I wore his jersey when I went with my dad to the NBA Hall of Fame, or the Basketball Hall of Fame, which I'm actually repping the shirt here. And it's just, so, but then, yeah, when Steve Nash retired, LeBron definitely took the role of my favorite NBA player, and I think something that I kind of want to touch on, there are people in the media that are, or not just in the media, but like fans in general, that are basically telling LeBron to just shut up and dribble, and not be involved in politics or anything. I think it kind of depends on what you're discussing, and I don't know, kind of how you go about discussing it. Because professional athletes, they have, quite a platform, and people look up to them. And now, should you always get your political views and social views from people that you don't know, or like professional athletes or whatever, because they're in different situations than you? I mean, you shouldn't always. Sort of like you shouldn't, get all your beliefs and whatnot and all your habits from TV, but it happens. And I'd say, as long as you're doing your homework, I think you should be able to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. And, we live in a country with the First Amendment that gives you the, freedom of speech. But one thing that I think we all need a reminder of from time to time is that, sure, we have, the freedom to say whatever it is that that is on our mind, or what we want to say, but there's not a freedom of consequence. Because, like, if I walk up to my boss at work, whether it be my immediate supervisor or the general manager of the store that I work at, and say, "You're an idiot," and "Screw you," and all that sort of stuff, sure, I'm free to say it, but if I were to say that, I would lose my job, and rightly so. And I'm not saying professional athletes should lose their job for speaking their minds or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just, in life, we just have to remember that there are consequences for our actions. And You know, if you say or do something stupid, there's typically going to be a consequence for it. You know, it's just one of those things. That's just the nature of life itself. So, just, I think we all need a reminder, like I said, to just be careful what we say, and just be kind to one another. That's one of the biggest things I think we all need a reminder of, is just, especially, with social justice issues and things of that sort. I mean, humanity is far um, from perfect. It's been broken, since God made the first human beings. So we're gonna have faults, and humans are gonna make mistakes, because we're not perfect, and it's not an excuse for people to say and do dumb things and all that. It's just, so we should be willing to show grace and forgiveness. And I get it, at times in life, feelings get hurt, um, emotions will run high, but, you know, and there are so many things that I get it. I'm not black, so I don't know, what it's like to be treated, just solely based on the color of my skin. So I don't know what that's like. I'm willing to admit that. So there are things that, as a white person, I should not say or do, um, because it would be, considered racist, or things, something like that. Um, but um, there are things that I'm, I don't know. There are things that I don't know if it is okay or not. And I would welcome, any of my friends that are black. If there are things that I should not do, should not say, or anything like that, besides the obvious stuff, um, feel free to let me know. I'm willing to learn these things, preferably in a conversation type setting. Um, Preferably the easy way over the hard way. And so yeah, that's where I'll leave off with that. Oh, come on. Dang it. Long rebound that my guy tried to get and wasn't able to. So yeah, my team is up by 5 right now, which a little unfortunate, because I had a much bigger lead going for a while there. I guess we're just building the suspense, Gotta keep things a little bit interesting. Oh, oh, there we go. Pass to the bucket, yeah. All right. Oh, whoops. Didn't mean to commit an intentional foul. Oh. Oh, dang, I got beat to the bucket. All right. Got the 3 ball going. But yeah, so yeah, baseball season just got started. I'm hopeful that the Royals are able to. I don't know. think there's definitely potential for winning the division. Um, you know, and obviously all I can do as a fan is hope that I'm right and just continue to cheer them on. And you know, I will. You guys that know me know that you know, I'm a Royals fan through and through. I'm raised Royal, forever Royal. I mean, all the all of those things. I mean, yeah, that's me. You know, whether the Royals win 90 games in a season or lose 90 games in a season, I will love them, you know, all the days of my life. But what do I do? Oh, dang it. Whew. Wait. Dang it. Oh, can I get to the... Rudy to Reggie. 4-3. So yeah, this is a very high-scoring first quarter so far. I'm up 42-30. Left a guy open, but luckily he did not make that. Oh, they just let me go to the rim. So of course I'm gonna take that. Reggie 4 for 4 on field goals. Very nice. When I play NBA 2K, the way that I like to play, at least offensively, is I like to pass the ball, try to set up some good shots, unless you got a good three-point shooter wide open behind the three-point line, like I did right there, or if I'm able to drive to the lane and get an easy basket, of course I'm going to go for that. Then on defense, I try to play tight, kind of get in the guy's face and not give him room to breathe, because that's how you're gonna affect shots and just all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty simple basketball. I don't necessarily run a whole lot of like called plays or anything like that. Maybe an occasional like pick and roll or something like that. But not really like, I'm not gonna call like a whole lot of actual like scripted plays, because I just prefer to go naturally with just kind of what works. 5 seconds left. I had Rudy right near the basket and tried to pass it to him. So first quarter score, 50-35. So yeah, that's a lot of scoring. I'm going to go back to my starters at the beginning of the second. Hopefully we can get out to a really big lead. Come on. That wasn't a foul. But at least I fouled Tristan Thompson, who's in the game. Not a very good free throw shooter. There we go. Got the miss on the second. Got my guy. Pass it to my guy Dante for the layup. Anyway, got a little technical difficulty here. Oh, there we go. Down on the post. Up. Pick it out for 3. Miss. Up. Dang. Dang it, Tristan. Okay, that's not going to work. I'm going to pass out. Get the ball back. Oh, that was an open three. All right, they're not going for the shot fake. Get it to Giannis. 4-3. I'd say, speaking of Giannis, he's definitely in a group of guys that are amongst my favorite players in the NBA right now. Like, I like him as a person, and he's very humble, and I like that in a player. Although it took me forever to be able to pronounce his name. I had to listen to people say it for weeks and weeks and weeks before I finally got it. Giannis Antetokounmpo, a.k.a. the Greek Freak. So that's what I called him for a while because, I was struggling to be able to pronounce his name. So, rotate. Ah, dang. How did he get that shot? Oh, got my guy right there. That was an easy pass. An easy basket. Now they're going to call a timeout here. Oh, there we go. I was trying to get rid of there was a little thing across the top of the screen that would show everybody's, specialized skill or whatever. And I just got rid of it because I finally remembered what button it was. Took me long enough. The lead's now 59-43, so starting to make the lead a little bit bigger. Got a miss there, all right. Get it inside my big guy. Ooh, bucket and the foul. My man. Danny Randolph is my starting center. And he's 7'6", about 270 pounds. And 3-point play. Makes the free throw. So we are now at 62 points on the board right now. Got a couple of our starters still in the game. Got some backups getting their minutes. LeBron gets that slick basket there. Danny Randolph again. So something that I don't think I've shared on my YouTube channel before, one of my favorite singers is Demi Lovato, and when she OD'd a few years ago, and almost died, just as a fan of hers, I wouldn't even say my first concern was if she was ever going to perform again or go on tour. I was just like, my first concern was, how is she going to rebound from it just in her in her personal life. And she is definitely a trooper. She's come out on the other side. She's still alive and walking God's green earth, thankfully. And I love as a fan just how open she is in her battles with, she had an eating disorder. She's struggled with drugs and alcohol. And she struggled with a dad that wasn't really active in her life for a long time. And he ended up passing away a few years ago. And she, even though she, was a child star and had a lot of success between acting and singing, just as a performer, but she's had her demons, and it just, I think it's another example of, money truly, it just, it can't buy you happiness. And just because you have money doesn't mean you don't have problems. I mean, 'cause a lot of people, there's a saying that I think it rings truer and truer by the day, basically, is just more money, more problems. And it's true, because if you come from nothing and, all of a sudden you start making a lot of money, you got people coming out of the woodworks, claiming they were a friend of yours, even though some were probably like the person that bullied you the most, or the biggest annoyance. People that also come out of the woodworks just to be like, hey, I could use some money, and I'm gonna try to take advantage of this person that I've known, you know, for years. And because like me right now, you know, my whole life, I didn't come from a family that was worth, a lot of money. My parents, made enough to provide for them and for my sister and I, and that we always had, you know, the essential things that we needed to be able to live. And we've never lived an extravagant lifestyle. There's been times where my sister and I had to hear the word, or the word no to stuff that we wanted, just because there wasn't enough money budgeted for it. And I think growing up with that is actually a lot better than, being handed everything you've ever wanted in life. Because, if you never hear the word no, I mean, you're going to be impossible to deal with. And when you're told no to things that you want every so often, you really learn to appreciate what you do have, and you learn that you learn the difference between what you need and what you want. Because like I've learned from a very early age that things that you need are things like clothes, because you can't run around the world naked, that's not legal, except in some select areas, nude beaches and nude resorts and all that sort of stuff. But, 99% of the time, you're going to need clothes to be able to go anywhere. And no matter who you are, you need food and water, things like that. So, I mean, those are things you need. And things like video games and expensive Nike shoes, those are things I want. And I also learned, from an early age that just because everyone has, object fill in the blank doesn't mean you have to have it, And peer pressure, it's a very real thing. Or just maybe not directly feeling peer pressure, but just like that feeling of, well, everyone has this particular video game or this pair of shoes or whatever, so I want to have them just to feel like included, or like you're part of the club or part of the clique. I think that kind of thing is overrated as well. And these are things that, when I have kids one day, those are the things that I'm going to teach them is, just because, everybody's doing it doesn't mean you have to. just be who you want to be, and you know, do things that make you happy and things like that, you know. And you know, and obviously, like I said earlier, you know, treat people with respect no matter who they are, no matter their skin color, or no matter how rich or poor their family is, all that sort of stuff. Just see the person as God designed us to see people, and that's, you know, as you know, God called us to love one another and be kind and gracious to one another. You know, in a world today where there's just so much hate. I hate to admit that, um, but there's just so much hate in the world today. The only way that, the only thing that can drive out the darkness of hate is love and grace, um, and just overall kindness to one another. And until pretty much everyone is on board with that, we're gonna continue to have, you know, issues of racism and sexism and all sorts of other social justice issues. And I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. It's not gonna happen overnight. But so we're almost at halftime of the game. The score is 90-59, which is like insanely ridiculous. But that's where I stand. And another thing I want to share my thoughts on is, so like back in the day, you know, 20, 30 years ago, things such as NASCAR and pro wrestling were considered things that, you know, like hillbillies and rednecks watched. You know, it wasn't, you know, cool to watch or anything like that. But I would say, in 2021, I would say there are a lot more pro wrestling fans than you probably realize. And I think a big part of that, just within the past couple years, is All Elite Wrestling, kind of coming out of nowhere, formed by people that, in the case of the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson, that paved their own way to success in the industry without ever going to WWE, except to have like tryout matches and stuff like that, but not being like a full-time performer for WWE. And then people like Cody Rhodes, who once competed for WWE, but you know, saw that they could have better opportunities with another promotion. And so for a while, he was working with Ring of Honor, which is another U.S.-based wrestling promotion, which at that time had a strong working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So he would wrestle here and over in Japan, which I've yet to experience wrestling in Japan, but from what I've heard, it's a different culture, different fan base over there, and they just have a different appreciation for pro wrestling, and I would love to experience that someday, maybe even go to Wrestle Kingdom at the Tokyo Dome, because basically, for those of you that don't know, Wrestle Kingdom is New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's their version of WrestleMania. It's for a little while, it's been a 2-day event. So you'll have a Saturday show and you'll have a Sunday show. and over there, it's a very, very, very big deal. Um, sort of like WrestleMania is domestically for pro wrestling fans. Um, I would definitely love to go to a pay per view, whether it be for WWE, AEW, um, preferably here in Kansas City, so I wouldn't have to drive somewhere or fly somewhere. Wouldn't have to travel. I could just drive to the venue the day of and have a good time. And so for WWE, some pay per views that if I had the chance to go would be cool. Would be Royal Rumble because it's a lot of unknown and a lot of potential surprises and a lot of action all in one night, and it starts the road to WrestleMania. And so that's why I would love to go to Royal Rumble pay-per-view someday. Elimination Chamber is another pay-per-view that I'd love to go to, just because it's like such an awesome match to watch on TV. So it'd be really cool to experience that in person. Especially also because there's a lot of like high spots and a lot of crazy sequences that take place in those Elimination Chamber matches. So that'd be pretty cool to see. WrestleMania is obviously one that, as a long time pro wrestling fan, has been kind of on my list of things that I'd love to go experience. Preferably either here in KC or even in St. Louis. Like, I think it'd be pretty cool to have WrestleMania in St. Louis. Maybe that'll happen someday. Money in the Bank is another pay-per-view I'd love to watch because I've never seen a ladder match. And just the potential of a cash-in for an instant title match is always looming large at that pay-per-view. So that'd be fun. SummerSlam, aka the biggest party of the summer. It's almost the summer version of WrestleMania, just because of how stacked the card usually is. And there's been like crazy surprises in the past at that pay-per-view, so that'd be fun to go see. And then another one is Survivor Series, because it's one of the big pay-per-views. There's the traditional elimination tag team matches that take place at that pay-per-view. Just the prestige surrounding that pay-per-view. It's also the same pay-per-view where Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson made his WWE debut as a very, very young man, like right out of his college days at the University of Miami. And it was after a few years of playing professional football that he ended up with WWE as, in essence, a blue chip prospect. And I guess mostly because of my initials and all the gimmick matches, TLC would be cool to see too, but it's not necessarily high up on my list of pay-per-views I'd like to go see in person. AEW, the All Out and All In pay-per-views have been in Chicago. And last year, right before the pandemic, they had the Revolution pay-per-view in Chicago. So it would be really cool for them to bring a pay-per-view event to Kansas City. Maybe Revolution or Full Gear. That'd be really fun. Because when I went to AEW Dynamite last year in Kansas City, it was such a fun night. And it, like, they gave me enough to kind of be like, this is cool, you know, kind of get some of my wish list items. You know, like getting to see Kenny Omega perform for the first time live. Well, I guess on television. I got to see him perform on the cruise. And getting to see Chris Jericho as the AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley, for the first time since he left WWE. That was really fun. And because it was the Go Home show for the upcoming Revolution pay-per-view, there was some good old-fashioned drama, or as Pat McAfee likes to say, drama. And a couple of fight scenes that broke out, which is kind of expected leading into a pay-per-view event. Matches that were being made that night in Kansas City. It kind of whet my appetite a little bit, but it still, at the same time, left me wanting more, which I think was kind of to be expected. But you know, maybe at a pay-per-view event, I can get some of my other wish list items. Like, I would love to see the Young Bucks in a traditional tag team match. Because I got to see them on the cruise perform in a 6-man tag team match with Kenny Omega versus SCU, that was really cool to get to see SCU perform. And the Elite, which would be Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. And if you haven't got the Young Bucks book, Killing the Business, I would definitely recommend that you give it a good read. I'm not someone that reads books very often, let alone buys books very often, but I bought the Young Bucks book because I just with what went into the book, like what I heard from their perspective. It was just one of those things I couldn't pass it up, and I got a signed copy of the book, so it has their autographs right there inside the front cover, which that was my favorite part. So I got to meet them on the Jericho cruise, but I didn't get their autographs, so basically now I got it. So there we go. But yeah, I would love to see the Young Bucks in a tag team match. I'd love to see an AEW World Title match. Because like on the Jericho cruise, I did get to see the first ever title change in AEW history, when Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega defeated SCU's Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky for the AEW tag team titles. So that was really cool to be a part of that. And I guess you could say the Jericho cruise was kind of like one big pay-per-view, wrapped up within like 4 nights of wrestling. And even the episode of Dynamite that took place on the cruise, it almost had a pay-per-view feel to it without it actually being a pay-per-view, if that makes sense. But yeah, I had a lot of fun on the Jericho cruise. Would I consider going again? Absolutely. I don't see any reason why I would never go again. And another thing I've learned mostly as a wrestling fan is never say never. If you're a wrestling fan, trust me, you've heard that phrase at least a million times, right? But yeah, I would definitely consider going on the cruise again. Maybe go with like a couple more friends, just so they're, just so the fun can be kind of more spread out. And but yeah, my first cruise was awesome. I can't wait to go on a cruise again. Yeah, there are people in my family that will not partake in going on a cruise just because they have their reasons basically. But yeah, I would definitely go on a cruise again. At the time of my life on the Jericho cruise. But so another thing that was really cool to be a part of on the Jericho cruise was starting the Judas sing along. Because one time I was like, did we actually start the sing along? Because I'm like, because I didn't want to, claim it as a factor or anything unless I did my homework and all that stuff. So I watched a few episodes of Dynamite from pre-Jericho cruise, and no one had done it before us. Now it's kind of one of the biggest things in wrestling as a fan right now is the Judas sing along, and I will definitely say, even if I wasn't from Kansas City and had a huge bias, I will definitely say, in terms of cities before the pandemic that did the sing along the best, I got to give my props to Kansas City. I put out a challenge on all my social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. I was like, you guys better come ready to go for the Judas sing along, and everyone did. And it was the greatest sing along ever. Well, second greatest, because I was part of the original, and we got a double team here. They passed out of it. Oh, woo! All right, force the miss. Cool. But it was awesome. Like in wrestling, keeping kayfabe is a huge thing. So like if you have if you're involved in a particular storyline, it's part of the wrestling tradition and culture that you keep that going even off screen. So like an example would be if like Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho are in a blood feud, which they were over the AEW World Title for quite a while. Basically, keeping up kayfabe would mean that when they're out in public, that they wouldn't be like buddy with each other. That if they were in the same room or the same place, they'd be like about to fight each other all the time, things like that. Or if you have a storyline injury, you're supposed to keep it up. So like Jon Moxley, for example, going into the cruise on the episode of Dynamite that they had in Miami the week before, in storyline, he had his eye poked out with a spike from Chris Jericho's jacket. So to keep up that storyline injury, he had a bandage over that eye the entire time he was out in public. I would kind of get tired of it after a while, I'm not going to lie. But to his credit, he kept it up the entire time. There were people that just so happened to stay in the same hotel as him in Miami, and they were like, yep, when we saw him at the bar at the hotel, or in the lobby or whatever, yep, he still had the bandage over his eyes. So, but as inside, I was hoping for an and one. But yeah, lots of different things to talk about. Yeah, on the Jericho cruise, I was definitely, I was just blown away just by how it delivered. Like in the back of my mind, I was kind of concerned, like, would the cruise live up to the hype? Because people that had been on the cruise before had talked so good about it, and I was just, if this makes sense, I was just trying to kind of not get my hopes up, or um, or set my expectations too high. Um, but yeah, the cruise definitely lived up to the hype. It lived up to everything everyone had said about it. Um, and like I said, yeah, I would definitely go again. But just me personally, the next cruise I go on, probably gonna be just a regular old Carnival cruise where I'm going on the cruise for the destination. Um, so like, I don't know, somewhere in Australia or um, somewhere in the Virgin Islands or in the Caribbean, um, somewhere like that, you know, and kind of be on the kind of cruise where if you want to sleep in until like 10 or 11 in the morning, and not really leave your room in the morning, it'd be fine. It wouldn't be a big deal because there's not a whole lot of like activities going on. So that's what I will say about that. But oh yeah, Jericho Cruise was the vacation of a lifetime, like they build it to be. Um, so I'm definitely glad it lived up to the hype, and it's definitely the best birthday present I've ever bought myself. Got to accomplish a lot of cool things. Like I got to go to the Bahamas, got to meet wrestlers like Chris Jericho, and got to interact with a dolphin. That was really fun. That was something I'd always wanted to do. I always wanted to go on a cruise, so glad I got that out of the way. Always wanted to go to the Bahamas, got that out of the way. Um, and sure, like I was in Miami because that's where the cruise took off from. I didn't really get to do much in Miami, so the next time I'm ever in the area, I would definitely like to do more. Maybe go to South Beach, um, and partake in some fun stuff down there. The next time I'm in the 305. Um, so yeah, that for me was like the only thing I have any regrets about was I don't know. I could have made the decision to fly out on Saturday and you know maybe had Sunday to do some fun stuff in Miami, but I had family in town leading up to the cruise, and it's family from Atlanta that I don't get to see very often, so I stayed in KC as long as I could to spend as much time as I could with them. But yeah, the next time I were to go on the Jericho cruise, like if it takes off on a Monday, like the one I went on did, yeah, I'll fly out on Saturday, and then just have Sunday to spend doing fun stuff in the city where the cruise takes off from. So, but yeah, I mean, I definitely learned a lot preparing for that cruise, and even on the cruise itself, like when we were on the vacations. So, um, gotta do it again. Oh, very nice. But um, something else I kind of want to briefly share because the game, well, we're halfway through the fourth quarter, so there's still quite a bit of time. But um, with the tumor and with having to have colon surgeries, with everything that's happened in my life, that has been a negative, whether it be my health or things such as I did encounter bullying in school, mostly in elementary school. It kind of died down in high school, um, later part of middle school, towards early part of high school. But yeah, I went through some bullying when I was younger. Um, you know, and having the the near-death experience last year with the tumor, and just even finding out that I had the tumor was painful. But in spite of all of that, you know, I've been blessed to experience all the things that I have, all the trips that we've gone on as a family, all the things that I've gotten to experience, all the professional athletes I've gotten to meet over the years. Just, I mean, it's a laundry list of things, and I'm very grateful. Um, and it's crazy. I have been to a lot of places, including about 60 some odd percent of the United States. I've been to over 30 states and Washington, D.C. Um, so one of my goals is to travel to more states. What the heck? I was trying to pass. Um, anyway, I love to travel, and so I definitely would like to travel to the rest of the states I haven't been to. I'd like to go to more places internationally. Um, like, I would say Europe, but um, yeah, if time and money were a factor, I would definitely love to spend like 2 weeks in Europe at least, maybe a month. Yeah, if time and money weren't a factor, I'd spend a month in Europe. Um, but like Italy is where my mom's side of the family came from. Her great grandparents actually came to America from Italy. Um, so that's part of like a reason why I would love to go to Italy. Um, and then like Ireland, I would love to go to Ireland. That's where some of my other ancestors came from. France, Germany. Um, I would love to visit all those places and more. Um, but my mom is definitely glad that she had me and my sister traveling at a young age, and that you know even as adults now we love to travel. And it's funny to me because I have family in the Atlanta area. Anytime that we fly to go visit them, you go through the Atlanta airport, Hatfield Jackson Airport, and it's a very busy airport, that's for sure. Um, and there are some people that I'm sure are intimidated at the mere thought of going into that airport. Um, but because I'm so used to, catching flights to and from that airport, it how busy it is and all that, it doesn't bother me. Um, although I will say my most heralding, or I guess my one negative experience at the Atlanta airport, it wasn't even their fault. My mom and I, one year, we flew down there together for my cousin Jacob's baptism, and this was shortly after he was born, or not too long after he was born. So we were trying to catch our scheduled flight out of Atlanta to get back to KC. And I say scheduled flight because our ride to the airport, my uncle, got us there a little late. So we ended up missing our flight, and we had to book another flight. And so that was already bad enough. But then what was even worse was it was basically like 3 terminals away. We were in like I think like the C terminal. Or actually, sorry, our original flight was going to take off from the A terminal, and we had to go to like the D terminal to catch our rescheduled flight. So my mom and I were pretty much having to sprint across the Atlanta airport. Oh, I won the game, by the way, 146 to 133. Um, so the worst part about it was my mom and I had to basically book it across the Atlanta airport just to make our rescheduled flight, because we had, oh, I don't know, about 35 to 40 minutes to catch that flight, which was quite stressful, as you can imagine. But let's end on a high note. Speaking of my family from Atlanta, um, we're supposed to see them here in a couple months, because they're coming down for a few days, about 4 or 5 days, and I'm really looking forward to that. Um, so yeah, I won the game. There will be another game of the NBA Finals. So with that being said, I hope you guys found this enjoyable, and even somewhat interesting. Um, if you have any feedback or anything, let me know in the comments below. And I guess aside from that, continue to stay safe and healthy out there. Take care of yourselves. Love you all. God bless.